What is that doing there? Why is it trying to dual capture? That is not making sense. Okay, I don't know how to quite get rid of that. I need to mess around with it some. But fortunate thing is we're live now, so I'm just gonna have to go with it. And I'll see about fixing that. A separate stream. So, anyway, hello everyone. My name is Josh. I'm one of the trainers at Upper Valley Aquatic Center. And today's stream is going to be the second part of the sports breakdown that I did last week. Unfortunately, the video from then got copyright struck because I was using footage from the Olympics to go over and to do the breakdowns. That's okay. The essential short version of that video is basically going through the different motions and analyzing what those athletes work on for that exercise. So that's what we did then. Now we're going to go through some exercises that I think would be appropriate to do for training somebody who wants to be a swimmer. That was the sport that we covered last time. So I have my little cheat sheet here of a bunch of different things that I noticed and just exercises that I would suggest. So to start with, the motion that I most noticed and muscle group that I think would be the most vital for swimming would be up in the shoulders. Because as you saw, no matter what stroke they were doing, whether it was freestyle like that, or breaststroke, or even butterfly, lots of rotation going on in the shoulder. That means that's going to be a lot of where your primary strength is coming from. Not a lot of push-pulling with the arms, although they are pulling you along, kind of. A lot of that's going to be in the shoulders. So that needs to be a place that you really work out. Next place that would be really important to work out would probably be legs, because you're doing the kicking all the time, or if you're doing the breaststroke, you're doing the up and out. You probably would change it just a little bit depending on what stroke you're doing or training for. But overall, you definitely want to have just your thighs, your main part of the leg for that motion. You want that part to be really strong. As far as those are going to be the main things. Also core, actually. Almost forgot about the core. Can never forget about the core. Your core, it's always important no matter what exercise, whatever sport you're doing. As far as what you want to work out or how you want to work it out, it seems more that the core is going to be used for stability and a twisting sort of motion. Keeping your core strong will help keep everything else in line so that they can focus on what they're doing. As opposed to having a weak core where you're compensating more for your body, to just be able to get the same motion, and you're losing energy in the long run. So the core would be mainly for twisting sorts of motions for the different strokes that you're doing, and it'll also help keep you stable so that your legs can do a lot more of the work. All right, so with that in mind, let's go through some exercises. First, for shoulders. For shoulders, I have cable flies. If you've seen cable machines before, you basically set the arms up to whatever side you want. You'd have both cables. You'd step forward just a little bit to brace yourself. Then you would really push and bring the handles of the cable in close to you, in front of you. This is a bit of a chest exercise. However, it's also something you want to do to at least replicate the motion of the sport you're doing as best you can. You could probably change it up a little bit by having the cables up a little higher and bringing them straight down. Or you can even go a little further and go straight down like this. The thing is, the cables are going to be the ideal way for you to replicate the motion with free weights. Or with, I don't think there's any kind of machine out there that would really do the motion that well. But anyway, I would definitely recommend a sort of cable fly. Whatever variation you do, if you do it up here or you do it full out to the sides, that's the sort of thing that you want to do. You could also include with cables, you could also do a full up arm crunch if you have the pulley set to the bottom. Pull up just like that. All those types of variations on the fly will help work that shoulder complex, really help with the motion of swimming. All right, what do we got next? Next, there's the really basic shoulder press that you can do. You also could hear it as a military press. For this one, you probably want to be sitting down in order to do it properly, because you're going to be working your core later. So when you do this exercise, you want to make sure that you're nice and stable and that you're getting it set up properly. You don't need to have your chairs on arms. Just whatever bench you have at the gym will just work fine. But you basically want to have your weights up to your shoulders. You want to push them straight up. If you're rounding your back like this, then the weight is too heavy or you've done too many reps. You always need to have your back straight. When you do this, bring the weights straight up over your head, just like that. This is going to be a great one for just building raw strength in the shoulders. It's also going to help out the back, because that's going to be a part of it too. Let me get this back out of the way. I'm sure I'll need it later, but I need it out of the way now. Push-pull is the next exercise. This is going to be an exercise that's going to really help with the pulling sort of motions that they're doing when they're doing the strokes. Because they come out, they're not just slapping the water, they're diving in and pulling themselves along. Kind of like they're mountain climbing, but they're in the water and there's no rocks around. But that pulling motion is going to be ideal. So this is going to be another one with the cable machine. What you would do, you'd have it set up so that one pulley is roughly about here. You have another one set up at about the same height. You grip both the handles like that. What you want to do, you want to pull with the arm that's fully extended to the front like this, and you want to push with the arm that's behind you. So it looks something like that. If you do martial arts at all, this is definitely a great way to practice punching as well. However, for swimming, this is something that will really get you a lot of work going with the pushing and the pulling. You basically, as I said, this is going to be for pushing down and getting those strokes. It's the same thing for the other side. You just want to be able to do good push-pull sort of method. I'm using free weights right now to demonstrate it, just to be able to have the motion, since I don't have a cable fly. But you'll ideally want to use cables here, using the dumbbells like that. Yes, you're kind of getting the same motion, but a lot more of your energy is going to holding your arm up and just keeping the weight there. What you really want to do, you really want to be able to get the most resistance on the push and the pull when you come in and do it. So that covers kind of shoulders, arms, and a lot of the core motions for that sort of area that you want to work. Let's move down to arms. And as I've said previously, I'm pretty sure I said previously, maybe I thought it, but arms, not a huge deal as far as it comes to swimming. You don't never see those athletes with gigantic biceps just crushing it as they go through the water. However, you do need balance in any workout, any exercise program that you're doing. And what you can do with arms would be to do things that help increase those motions. As I said before, there's a fair amount of pulling, and you also need to be able to get pushing power too. So arm exercises for a swimmer would revolve around keeping that sort of balance and helping the pushing and pulling motions that you're going to be mostly doing. So one would just be pull-ups. Pretty much any grip pull-up, although I'd probably recommend the wider grips with your palms facing away from you, just because doing that helps work the back more, and working the back more will enable you to help keep your core more stable and to get more out of that pulling motion. So pull-ups would be a great exercise for a swimmer. A lateral pull down, if you know that machine in the gym, or you could maybe improvise it with resistance bands. But essentially, when you have the bar up over your head, you're going to be gripping it, again, probably wider. You want to bring it straight down in front of you. Just bring it up, straight down. This one, it's really key to get the most benefit that you make sure that your shoulder blades are really crunching together. You want to be able to almost hold a pencil right in between your shoulder blades, right around here. Really crunch them together. That really works out the entire shoulder blade complex, and it really will help out in the long run. Those will also work your biceps out a bit more. Your biceps is going to be the main pulling muscle that you use in your arms. The next one is skull crushers. I call them skull crushers. That's how I learned them. I suppose a tricep pushdown is also a technical term. Essentially, though, how this would work, you can do this in any sort of variation. I'm showing 2 dumbbells right now. But what you want to do, you want to have your arms straight out like so. You bring the either the dumbbell or the barbell down, probably not quite this far, but then you basically come straight back up. And this is all about your tricep. This is the main pushing motion of your arm. It's one that help keep your bicep in balance, and 2, it's going to keep those pushing motions strong whenever you do have to do them. Probably for something like a breaststroke, maybe a butterfly, would be ideal for this sort of thing. You can also do this just with 1 dumbbell. You will want to interlace your hands, or like that, or just hold one over the other. But you do the same idea. You just have both hands going behind your head, bring them straight back up. You can do this with a barbell as well. You can also do it with another cable machine. If you have a bar set up, you basically hold it, you keep your feet more or less together, and you push straight down. Just like that. Again, this is another one of those exercises like I had shown earlier with the shoulder press. If your back is arching while you're doing it, you're losing benefit and you're probably going to hurt yourself. With doing it with a bar, if you're leaning forward too much, then you're depending on your upper body weight to bring the bar down. Keep yourself nice and stable, tighten your core, tighten your abs as you do this, and keep your back stable. Focus this more on your arms. Just doing a lot of weight isn't going to help you. You need to be able to do it with the proper form in order to get the most benefit. Okay, what do we have next? Back and core. So, as I was saying earlier, working your back really helps with those pulling motions, also helps keep you more stable. Working your core keeps you stable, and it'll also help when you're twisting and doing those strokes. That'll help get you just a little bit extra pull for what you're doing. To activate the back, one exercise that I've actually been growing fond of is something called a YTA. How you do this is you either could use a TRX straps, or you could be laying down on your stomach on the ground. Essentially, what you want to do, imagine that I'm laying on the ground right now. You have your arms out with the palms facing towards the ground. You bring your arms up to the side of your head. You lift just a little bit, and you bring your arms up. You're like doing the Y in the YMCA. I don't know the full. Let's not do the dance, even though I'm sure that just came into somebody's head. You come up, you do the Y. Then you bring yourself back down. Then you spread your arms out to the side. You arch your back again, bring your arms up off the ground. You come and you make it pose like a T. After that, you bring your arms down to your sides, arch your back again, bring them up, and you look, your arms are in the shape of an A. That's the YTA. I might be able to actually demonstrate it depending on what the camera view is. Kinda. Angle it down just a little. Okay, that should do. So again, what you want to do, you're on the ground, you bring your arms up to make a Y, arch your back like that, bring your legs off the ground too. You do that for the Y, then you straight out to the sides, bring it up again for the T, and then you bring them down to your sides, bring them up for the A. If you're having trouble bringing your legs up, what I would recommend is just doing the arm motions. Just do the arm motions, you'll basically get the same benefit. Bringing up your legs is just a bonus. Get level. Okay, that's a YTA. Bicycles. I should just keep them down for now, just so I can better demonstrate. But bicycles, this is a core workout. What you're gonna do, you're gonna be sitting down on the ground. If you're not as comfortable with doing it yet, you can go flat on back. However, ideally, you want to be at a rough angle, about 45 degrees. The stronger your core is, the further back you can go. You bring your feet up off of the ground, and then you pretend you're on a bike. You just start pedaling with your legs while off the ground. It's a little tough to do the coordination, but this is definitely an exercise that'll help with that sort of motion that we were doing before. The one where you're kicking up and down, or even if you're going out to the sides with the breaststroke. This exercise will be great for that sort of motion that you're doing. I believe another exercise I had was, okay, yeah. We'll go to flutter kicks. This one you definitely want to be on your back for, just so you can get full range of motion. You go onto your back, and what you do, you start with one leg up, you bring your other leg up, switch position, and then you continue just like this. This is probably the best you'll be able to do to replicate the swimming motion while you're on dry land. That's a really good one. Again, that replicates the motion. That's one of the core tenets of sports training. The more you replicate the motion in your training, the more you'll be able to do it when you're actually doing it for the competitions. Let's see, Mason twist. Mason twist is going to be an exercise that really helps with those twisting sorts of motions that I was talking about earlier. You can either have a dumbbell or a medicine ball, or pretty much any kind of weight, or if you're not as comfortable, you can do it without a weight at all. Again, as I was showing before with the bicycle, you want to be at about 45-degree angle here. You can have your legs off the ground. It's not necessary though. Essentially what you want to do, you want to take your hands or the weight, you want to bring it across your hip. Try to get behind your hips if you can. Till you touch the ground, if at all possible. If not, just go to the side and make sure you twist. Then you just twist to the other side. Make sure you're leaning back all the way. And you really start to feel it, even after a few reps. That's an exercise that will really help get that twisting motion down as best you can. Okay, last one for on the ground. Yeah, is I call it a ball toe touch. So, for example, if you've got a ball like this, or even a medicine ball, something larger, the larger the ball is, the more easy this exercise will be. But you take your ball, stick it right in front of you, like so. Then you want to separate yourself about legs length. You keep your feet together. You start off with your legs up off ground. You lightly touch the ball, then bring your feet back up. Then you turn to the side, touch off to the side, bring your feet back up. Other side, back down, up, then start back at the beginning. So in full speed, it looks something like this. Up, down, down, up, down, up, down, up. This is another one of those exercises that more or less duplicates the motion, especially right after you dive in and you're trying to build up some speed off the pedestal. This one works great for that. Last exercise for the back is going to be rows. Now, you can do rows any number of infinite ways. The basic idea is that you want to be leaning forward, either completely forward if you're using a bench or a table to prop yourself up on one hand. In this case, we're using free weights right here. So I want to keep my feet about shoulder width apart, bent knees, nice athletic stance. Bend forward just a bit. Don't arch your back. Don't round your back. Keep your back nice and stable, long. When you come in to do the row, your arms are going to be they're just going to be hanging down. When you bring them up, you want to crunch your shoulder blades together and pull straight up. Pulling up just like that. Remember to crunch your shoulder blades together. And this will really, like the lat pull down I demonstrated earlier, this one will really work your shoulder blade complex. As I said, you can also do a variation if you had something to hold on to brace yourself, like that. You can do a variation where you can lean forward all the way, you keep yourself stable, and then you're just pulling up and down. If you're doing it this way, you probably want a lot heavier weight because you're only doing it with one arm. And again, you can do this with a barbell as well, using the same technique. The important thing is to make sure your core is stable, your back is straight, and you're not rounding or cheating in any way. Crunching your shoulder blades together is also very important. That'll cover, for the most part, that'll cover back and core. What we're going to do next is legs. We already covered some stuff for legs. However, that's more or less the core aspect. The legs are just kind of there to generate the motion. But as far as what you want your legs to actually do, you want to be able to really get them to push off. You want to be able to pull you back forward and propel. So an exercise that'll basically just work your legs and strengthen you in general. It's going to be a deadlift. I don't have a barbell in here, so I can't really demonstrate it. I will be improvising with spin. So, the general technique for when you're doing a deadlift is one, your bar is going to be in front of your feet. You want to have your feet shoulder width apart as you come in for the lift. You bend down all the way, and then you grab the bar. Don't just try to pull it up from here, because bad things will probably happen to you. What you want to do beforehand, you want to keep your feet flat. You want to bring yourself up to a ready position. When I say ready position, your knees are bent, you keep your back straight, And you're readying yourself to do that. As far as your hand grip, you can use whichever grip you'd like. I personally prefer to have one hand with my palm facing out, the other one with my palm facing towards me. That's my personal preference. You probably wouldn't want to do both palms facing away, but you could. You could also do the more standard idea with both your palms facing towards you. But anyway, looking from the front, what you'll basically see is that when you come up for the lift, you do not focus it all on your back, because that's how you hurt yourself. The deadlift is as much about your legs as it is your back. When you come in, you want to mainly be pushing up with your legs and then straightening out your back at the end. Don't arch it out all the way, because you'll still hurt yourself. Then come back down with the same amount of control. So again, from the front angle, push off with your legs, straighten your back as you come up to the top. Back down, switching it up so you can see it from the side. The bar is more or less in front of you. You come up, straighten your legs, then straighten your back. Go do it in reverse. As you come back down, straighten your back first before you lift, push up, straighten everything out. That's how you do a proper deadlift. And that's just going to be a standard strength exercise. That's just going to improve everything for you. A deadlift is I call it an annihilator, because it's so brutal to do that workout. All right, what do I have next for legs? Next for legs, we're just going to, since this isn't really going to be as coordinated sort of thing for your legs, as far as the sport's concerned, a lot of split sort of exercises where you're working one leg at a time, working them evenly still, because you don't want one side to become unbalanced. So lunges are going to be an exercise I would recommend. So you can do any kind of lunge, more or less. I think the standard one is going to be ideal. You can do this with dumbbells in either hand, like so. You could also do it with a bar going behind you, although this one's going to be a little trickier and you need to get the weight right. Definitely start lower if you're going to try to do it behind your back, behind your neck. We come in like that. Let's see, there's also a type of jumping lunge. You come in, you switch your feet each lunge. There's also a static lunge where you come up and you're just bringing foot down. That's switching positions. Pretty much any of these lunge variations will work for working your legs out for swimming. Another exercise that really work well, that's a split variation, is called a split squat. How you do a split squat is you'll need something to brace your other foot up against. In this case, I'm using this chair. You can use a bench, plyo box, anything works. You keep your one foot up on whatever device you're using to assist you. Keep your other foot just a little bit ahead of your other leg. Then, when you're set and balanced, you come down for the squat. It'll take you a little bit of adjusting. Primarily, you want to make sure that all your weight is focused on your front leg when you come down. You come nice and controlled. Don't lean too far forward. This will hurt your knees. But that sort of exercise is definitely something that you want to do, because it's going to really help strengthen your quads, which are going to be a part of that pushing motion. Another type of squat. This one's the pistol squat. Pistol squat's a little difficult. And my knees aren't great, so I'm not going to demonstrate it without using my hand up against the wall. Essentially, how you perform the pistol squat, you're going to either have TRX straps, you're going to have a box behind you, you're going to have basically something that you want to be shooting for. But you're going to be braced, or if you're confident enough and you don't have bad knees like me, you're not going to be braced. Essentially, though, You want 1 foot forward ahead of you, and you come down to a squat with only 1 foot. Make sure that your feet are always pointed straight ahead to make sure you got proper form of balance. Come down for the squat, and then come back up. Come down, and back up. This is another one-legged motion that's really going to be pushing you, but it's also going to be building up strength. Make sure when you're doing the split exercises that you leave enough time to work both your legs, because that's going to bite you in the long run if you don't. All right. As far as exercises, those ones I've been demonstrating, I think would be the main ones that you'd want to focus on. You may have heard of cycles being used for different types of sports and exercises. They'll work strength for one cycle, and then endurance another cycle, power one more. I don't think swimming would benefit as much. If you did cycles, what you'd probably want to do is you probably want to focus on getting different muscle groups or working in different types of training. A lot of your training is going to be in the pool, practicing your technique in the stroke. That's also where you're going to be getting a lot of cardio. Overall, I think cycles would be more appropriate just to keep things interesting. Or if you're focusing for a specific event, you could train for that event in one cycle. Then if you're doing a different event, you train for that event in a different cycle. That sort of thing would be the ideal way to use cycles. Something you really want to be careful of when you're training for swimming, because it's a very repetitive sort of motion, and you're more or less going to be training the same things all the time. You need to be careful of imbalances, and you need to be careful of injuries. If you start working one side too hard, or you start working one muscle group over another one, your body's going to start imbalancing. It's going to start overcompensating in ways. And that's going to lead to all sorts of injuries. Probably the most familiar one would be something like tennis elbow, which is also tendonitis in your elbow. As far as swimmers, I don't know if they have an equivalent, but that sort of thing is something you really need to be careful of. Injuries, of course, they hurt, they're annoying, you don't want to deal with them. So this is something I think you need to be really careful of if you're training as a swimmer, is to keep an eye out for imbalances. For your cardiovascular workouts, overall, I think you're going to be getting a ton of it in the pool as you're doing it. As far as variations, stuff that would really benefit would be something like plyometrics, where you're using, you're either working with a ball, you're doing slamming downs, or if you're doing like box jumps, where you have the box set in front of you, you jump up on top of it, back down. Something agility, like shuttle runs or just agility drills like that would also be beneficial. Anything else that would really benefit overall to swimming would be like running, cycling, dance even, just for that balance and that coordination. Martial arts would be another one, although I recommend martial arts for everything. All those activities will help out with swimming overall, even though they're not about swimming. And I'm pretty sure that covers everything I wanted to talk about. Yep, that's it. So this was the 2-week. This is basically how the class is going to work. It's a 2-week interval. 1 week we watch film, break down sport. Then the next week I go into exercises. If there are ever any questions, I would love to hear them. As far as for content that's coming up next for the UVAC channel, I believe we're still doing Fitzy Friday, where Sean Fitzgerald, he'll be going over all sorts of current events and news and trends in the fitness industry. We've also got Rock Solid with Adam Hernandez. I think so. Yeah. There's also Rock Solid. There's ABC's Abs, Arms, Butt, and Core with Hannah. Those will all be coming up in the next few weeks. My slot is always going to be 2:30 on Thursdays. Thank you very much for watching. My name is Joshua Grant, and I really hope to see somebody again. All right, take care.